you ever been offered a coaching opportunity? If you have, well, that's good. It means your organization values you enough to invest in your development and growth. Today, we'll look at coaching from the other side, the coach and the industry in general. Joining us live in our Rockwell studio, the only Filipino to hold a Master Certified Coach certification given by the International Coach Federation, Julius Ordonez. Julius, thank you so much. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here.
So how big is the coaching industry here in the Philippines?
Well, I would say it's relatively small. I mean, compared with the other countries like Singapore, Malaysia, and Japan, and many other countries. And if I were to base it on the number of the members of the ICF Philippines chapter, we only have like 100 members now. So it's very, very small. But I would say the non-members would be around 500 coaches because, you know, in the Philippines, coaching is loosely used.
Exactly.
Like everybody can just call themselves coach, even without the proper qualification.
And why do you think this industry remains small in the Philippines compared to the other countries you mentioned like Singapore?
Yeah, so professional coaching is actually it's not actually easy to penetrate because you need to have the formal training, you need to be evaluated, you need to follow or adhere professional standards, global standards set by the ICF, and therefore if you do want to be trained, is not as affordable. Yeah, so you really need to invest.
So how big is the pie? I mean, how much are companies investing, allocating for these coaching services? I know you work with a lot of multinationals,
yes,
big blue chips here in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Would you say we're investing
yes.
enough in coaching?
Well, it's not as high at this point, but I would say that for the last 10 years, there is now an increased awareness, and therefore it is becoming now a top-of-mind intervention for companies. So it is actually provided to a select few of leaders in the organization, and these are mostly high potential individuals. Yeah, so these are leaders who are being prepared for a bigger responsibility.
Okay, and how much, you mentioned it doesn't come at a cheap price. Usually, would you have a range how much it costs to coach a person?
Yeah,
you do this per hour session?
Yeah, per hour session. It varies because it depends on a lot of factors. So like, for example, the credential of the coach, the profile of the coachee, the level of the coachee in the organization, the coaching delivery, and many other factors. So it can range to, to as low as 5,000 per hour or per session to a high of 30,000 per hour.
Okay, and how long do the sessions last? 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year?
Usually it lasts for 6 months to even a year. Yeah, it depends on what is being worked on.
I know that you recently came up with a study. What were the findings of the study by Benchmark Consulting?
Yeah, so this is very interesting because, in our study, Filipinos are now looking at coaching as a means for personal and professional development. And so that illustrates the power of using coaching, to maximize human potential. And in that study, there are 300 individuals who actually participated, and these are mostly 21 years and older, who were coached for the last 3 years, and these are mostly employees. And there is a growing number of millennials now actually taking up life coaching. In other words, they are being coached on life issues, and their main reasons would be for personal development, achieving work-life balance, what else? Clarifying their life purpose, and also becoming personally effective in their decision-making, etc.
Well, that's a lot of reflection and thinking inwards, considering we've become busier.
Exactly. Yeah, in the corporate world, companies are actually hiring coaches to develop the leadership skills of their employees, mostly at the senior level, C-level, or even at the middle level. Coaching is also being utilized to improve their ability to manage change, to improve team effectiveness, and also work performance.
In your experience, you're one of the biggest companies to offer coaching. Is there a case study that stands out? I mean, I know you coach executives from multinationals and the giant corporations, but is there a case study that stands out? You don't have to name the personality.
Of course. Yeah, I have a lot of success stories already because I've been coaching since 1999. So it's been like 20 years, right? So most of my clients are at the C-suite level, and I have the CEO, coachee, who was working on his emotional management. So, you know, he has emotional outbursts. He would demean people and is very condescending, and you know, he would say, you know, bad words, you know, in front of people, and so he would like to correct that. You know, it starts with that commitment of the person to change, right? And so after 6 months, you know, the people themselves, when I did the interview, they were saying that he toned down. There were no bad words anymore, I mean condescending words. He was no longer demeaning in his interaction with people. And so they started to like him because he was an expat here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are the KPIs, the key performance metrics that you base the definition of success on?
Yes, it's actually more on behavioral change.
So can you quantify that?
Yes, so when I say behavioral change, it could be, you know, improvement of the ability to assert themselves. It could be about, you know, building self-confidence. It could be about, you know, managing their time. It could be about managing themselves, their emotions, leadership style, etc. So bottom line is about behavioral change.
But you mentioned earlier you don't just deal in the corporate world, you also do it on a person-to-person basis,
yes.
Work-life balance. Do you get requests for coaching when it comes to, say, weight loss or dealing with a life crisis?
Yes, but actually Benchmark Consulting is more into corporate coaching. So we actually do get requests for life coaching on the side. You know, we have participants in our seminars who would approach us after the workshop and they would say, can you coach me? And they would say, can you coach me on, you know, my challenges in my life now? So it could be about losing weight, you know, cutting expenses, or it could be saving money, etc. So it could be anything under the sun, actually.
As practical
about life
as that.
in general, right?
And how do you have the answers? How do you have the answers? Do you give them the answers to begin with?
Okay. So coaching is actually not providing answers to the individuals. It's actually allowing them to think for themselves, decide on their own. It's really empowering them to actually look for the solutions themselves. So it's really more of facilitating their thought process. You know, coaching is really helping people think better. It's about not giving the fish, but it's about actually helping them, you know, look for that fish.
And final question, you know, not everybody gets a chance to be offered a coaching session.
Yes.
So maybe I can try one with you. For example, how does it work? When you walk into the room of the executive, okay, but let's say I want to do work-life balance.
Sure.
I'm your client. I want work-life balance.
Sure, yeah.
How does it work?
Do you need an hour for this?
More, I think.
Yeah. Or do you have 30 minutes at least?
Okay. So what's the first thing you tell your client?
Yeah. Of course, I need to find out first, you know, what's going on in your life right now. So to really build awareness about, you know, your current reality in terms of how, you know, life is treating you when it comes to work-life balance. So normally, the start of the conversation is, you know, I ask you questions like, for example, so what do you want to achieve in our conversation today?
Work-life balance.
So work-life balance. What about work-life balance?
I don't spend enough time with family.
Oh, I see. And how is that impacting you?
Unhappy at times.
You're unhappy at times. Okay. And how is this affecting your family?
Unhappy at times too.
All right. And given that, since you are unhappy at times, so what do you see is the effect of this, you know, in yourself?
Less productive because of being unhappy at times. A bit more anger easily irritated. Wow, you're very good at this. So this is just a series of questions.
Yes,
And
series
course,
of questions until we get to a point wherein you have to make a choice. I mean, to
Interesting.
get stuck there, or would you like to move forward?
of course, we all want to move forward. Thank you
Yes.
very much for joining us this morning, Julius. It was great
Thank you so
talking
much.
about coaching.
Yeah, so
with
how
you.
I wish we have more time.
Yes.
Yeah, so just let me know if you need more coaching.
I hope
Thank
I
you.
don't find the need for that, but thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.